It is concerning. Trincao would cook at a top club. He needs to physically improve. Pepe would be saucy on the counter attacking side. This possession thing ain't for him. I hear that. DG, do you think our current starting 11 with rotations of 2-3 players to keep injury down is enough for top 4? It's enough to fight for top 4. I'd say I'd give it that. Xhaka was moving mad. Exactly. You know what we're getting with Zinchenko. He's not going to be, when it's them games there when you're playing, I'm not saying he won't do well against Salah, but when it's them games where you need a traditional defender, you probably, if it, lean towards Tierney. You know, games where you can afford really to be a bit more luxurious going forward, you could, you know, bet on Zinchenko, and that's almost like having another attacker. They've got different strengths. And yeah, man, Zinchenko has to be considered a midfielder. Who would you take between Gakpo, Lang, and Paqueta? I don't really rate Gakpo like that. Lang seems a bit like he's a decent, you know, he's not a sick youngster, but he's got a lot of ability, but he seems like he's got a bit of attitude issues. I hate to run around with that, but seems a bit like he acts too bougie, and he's not really that. It's like a 4 out of 10 thing talking about cocktails. That's a myth. That's an absolute myth. Arsenal allegedly are playing Brentford behind closed doors. You'd imagine we squeeze two friendlies in before we start the season, excluding Sevilla, and it's showtime then, innit? Big up Top Blue. Hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't. Like he said there, 10 days until 40 is back. And we're the curtain raisers. Big up you, Blender, for the super chat. Appreciate that. Appreciate you obviously offering your opinions and listening. DG, Telemans or Madison? I keep arguing with my mate on this. Keep going with your content and work. See me, I'm probably the wrong person to ask, because I really want Madison at the carpet. I listen, Telemann, they're both lit in it. But I like Madison, man. I think Madison's got the mentality. He doesn't get too excited when he's doing well. Doesn't get too down on himself when he's playing bad. You hear the way he talks in interviews. It's a humble thing, but he believes in himself. Like, he wants to be the star, man. He can actually play as an 8 and a 10. I like Madison, man. Really like him a lot. But I also like Telemans, man. Probably for Arsenal, Telemans. But if you could, Madison, man. Love for the super chat again. We do need a Kovacic type midfielder. Don't think it's an issue starting Xhaka until the international break. I don't know, man. You know what you're getting with Xhaka. You know what you're getting with Arsenal's midfield. We're gonna put a run of form together, but then there's injuries. There's clangers. When the time gets tough, it's a myth, and you can never really, in your heart, truly believe on the pivot on Xhaka and Partey. It is our strongest pivot. Take nothing away from them players. Xhaka was decent last year. Partey had some great games as a number 6, but it's not enough, innit? It's not even an ability thing. It's just, again, we're going to go down the same road, really and truly. We've seen this movie. How many times are we going to watch this same movie? Are you not bored of it? Exactly, he is more of a 10. But he can't play in the 8 like he did for Leicester last year. Do you think the Telemann saga is dragging on? Jason, it's not what I think. You lot can clearly see it's dragging on, really. DG, what would you prioritize? A world-class centre mid and a competent forward, or vice versa? I mean, the term world-class, again, for me, world-class is a not saying you, but it's a term a lot of people use. But yeah, man, what the hell? I'll world-class versus competent. If you could get a world-class centre mid, I think that's a game changer for Arsenal. I don't think that we could rely on them to do everything, and they're Batman and Superman and that. But that is, if you was to get a world-class, or let's extend that to top-class midfielder, I think Arsenal were in the business, really, because then I think you see a better Odegaard, whoever plays in the front 4 positions up front, on the flanks, in the 10s, and the wealth of options there. I then think with Partey and a world-class midfielder or top-class, we see a better defense now because we can be a bit more rugged. You'd see a bit of Partey. No disrespect to Xhaka, because Xhaka's held a lot of these players' hands, and Xhaka showed a lot more consistency than a lot of man, more time. But yeah, man, we're signing up for the same thing. Savic would be lit, but we know that's dream chasing. We're not getting Milinkovic Savic. I would love him to sign for the club. I'd love a humble Fabian Ruiz, but it don't seem like we're getting these dons, man. What's good, DG? Been a while. Hope you're blessed. I'm not getting gassed by preseason, but the squad's confidence levels are high. Realistically, in your opinion, what would be a bare minimum this year? Brother, you need to fight for top 4. You need to fight for top 4. You need to get to the final of Europa League. You need to go as far as you can in the FA Cup and League Cup. Obviously, we adjust as the season goes on. We adjust expectations, but anything less than this, Edu come out. The man Edu come out himself and said trophies. You know, Arteta said trophies. Well, obviously, man, I'm not saying we're going to win Prem and that, but they said trophies. The players, our captain to be, Odegaard said, we let ourselves down. We have to get top four. Xhaka spoke about winning Europa League, and just about every damn player, really and truly. These players should feel in a healthy way bitter from last year because you shot yourselves in the foot. Much like top four races, it's a battle of inconsistency. No one can quite grab it. Every year you have to try very hard not to get top four because of that. And we had to try very hard. Before we talk about what Conte and Spurs did or didn't do, or what other teams did, we let ourselves down. Not react, game management, struggling to win away from home, not drawing enough games when you were losing, all many different reasons. We shot ourselves in the foot. You lot should feel a lot of pride because I do think there's a lot of positives from last season, but you should feel embarrassed. Some of you will never play Champions League football if you don't do it at Arsenal Football Club. Some of you could have been in the Champions League. Some of you probably could have got bonuses and all of these sort of things. There's many benefits. You lot should be battered and bruised. Remember how it felt to put on a run of form and how it felt to crumble, to how it felt to, in a way, prove them journalists right. Because for a while, you was keeping them shut. They couldn't say the typical Arsenal lacking fight, lacking heart. Arsenal sells the papers when we lose. They couldn't say that for time. But then you proved it to the point where these same journalists were acting like Arsenal was a shoo-in for top four last year, and you let yourselves down. Remember how it felt in that change room on that bus home when you crumbled against Newcastle in your last chance saloon, how it felt going into the Spurs game and crumbling, how it felt not beating Burnley, how it felt going to Old Trafford and Everton and Crystal Palace at home, taking the lead, not walking away with it. There's many things: game management, street smartness, level of consistency, relying on young players, doing it when it's crunch time. There's several things. And it's not just, we can't use the youth experience thing, because if I look at the squad, it's not really the youth who let us down last year. It's mainly our betting on experienced players who can't stay fit or experienced players that aren't quite good enough. So the best driver, the best motivation, I think, in life is yourself, bro. The feeling of embarrassment, the feeling of failure. Again, I'm not saying the players failed, but you must have been given sleepless nights. I know if I was an Arsenal footballer and that season ended, or I'm going to bed after Newcastle, I'm going to feel that sort of thing. I know if some of them, if they're sitting with their girlfriends and obviously the birds and the bees, she's feeling some sort of way and she's trying to take your mind off things. I know I'm not going to want to do that because I'm thinking about, in the 7th minute when we conceded that goal, what if I did that? I'm capping, I'll probably do it. But after that, innit, Paul's not clarity in that. After that, we'll do this, innit? But the best driver is ourselves, people. We let ourselves down last season, As I said, even Arteta, I personally think, no disrespect to Arteta, because you're the guy for now, innit, until I see enough to get rid of you, or sing your praises. I think if Arteta manages Spurs and Conte, and I'm not saying I want Conte or any of that, but I think if Conte at that moment was at Arsenal and Arteta was at Spurs, I don't think Spurs get top four, and I think Arsenal would get it, because I do think there's things the whole collective fan base, the whole collective club could have done. We could have done something in January. We could have started the season better. On the playing front, there's many things the players could have done better. There was times Arteta played a lot of stupid games tactically, and there was also a lot of good, but that's where we're at. Really and truly. We need to remember the pain of missing top four. Because as much as we were good and media at times last season, bro, you could have scumbagged your way into Europe. The champions. We're not hearing that. It's long. More afternoon, better yet, Paul. Hope you're doing well and safe, man. So we go again in it. We keep going. There's nothing you could do in it. You can't go back in time. It is what it is. My ex used to hate when I said I can't go back in time. Sorry, PTSD. morning, DG. Keeping it real. I see, as always, appreciate that. What's more important according to you, midfield or winger? I think they're both vital, because I hope Jesus can score goals. I hope Eddie can and all them guys. But these man, no one has the catalogue of scoring goals for years in this team. So if there's a loss of form, if there's injuries, if there's any of this, we're in trouble. If you could get a winger that could get you double figures, you kind of offset that. But again, until you address that midfield, I don't think we're going to step up a level defensively or offensively. So I think that's I could say midfield. Pardon me, but I don't feel it's right to say either. I think it's both, man. There's no international where there's there's a World Cup, so Bracy, yeah. I hope we get Telemans, but you never know. The longer it takes is a Brazy one, man. Telemans ain't got the presence. We need a solid ankle breaker, which is Savage. But then you lot will get on to Savage with his lack of mobility. I hear you. I can't lie. I just want good footballers, man. 179 likes. We're flirting, people. Show your support and like this video. Let's show some appreciation for DJ and his consistent content. No chill, Lils. My guy. Easy DG, hope you're good. Looks like we're gonna struggle to sell Pepe. Do you think we'd get more out of him in an inverted role, more in the box? Yeah, I mean, yeah, but again, I do think Pepe can play like it, but he's better when we're on the counter attack and that when we're trying to do this Wenger thing. I don't think he's on it really. So maybe, and that's why he could be a bench player when the game's a bit open. I hope so, man. We shouldn't be able to win Europa. Then if we shouldn't, exit the competition now, bro. Every team, whether you're ABC United from wherever or Arsenal Football Club, if you're in the Europa League, any competition, if you're not in it to win it, what's the point? Might as well go yard then, in my opinion. That gives you an opportunity to win a European trophy. I haven't seen my club win that. We won in 06 in my head because UEFA loan cheated. Can't wait till that club gets an investigation and stripped of that and we get that 06 Champions League still. But yeah, man, it's a European trophy. Let's be honest, a lot. I know it becomes a lot of superficial, especially when you're a fan of a top six. But when you look at the teams who win the Champions League, the FA Cup, all of these cups, not every footballer ends their career with silverware. So it's actually a luxury to do that. That's it. That's something to tell the grandkids. That's a European trophy. That's a bit of history. Every trophy, the FA Cup, the English Super Cup, Community Shield, anything else, it helps build the winning mentality. It helps crave hunger. You've got man like Zinchenko with 10 trophies, at 25 or 26 years of age. I know he's catting for more. Jesus has got significant ones. Some of these lot have picked up an FA Cup or two, so it starts giving that. There's obviously, and I do think because of the ticket it gives you into the Champions League, we kind of look beyond the Europa League, but the Europa League gives you that ticket, and obviously that could, attract more players to this team, get a lot more credit from fans, certain man get bonuses and things. There's so many good reasons for that. So if we're not in these things to try and win it, what are we doing then? Might as well go yard, back it up already then. I'd be aiming for third spot. Of course, I want to win. We all want to win, but we have to keep it real. I don't think I wasn't looking at third, third, fourth. Again, if we was a better team, if us United and Spurs were better, Chelsea might not have been third. Chelsea were quite fortunate in that. No matter how, pardon my language, how shit they were, we were shitter. Let's just do what we need to do. Let's just work on what we're working on in pre-season and the obvious areas for improvement. Let's just, target from August. And I know the World Cup makes it a bit brazy, but from August, let's just focus on being the best team we can be to the end of the year. From the end of the year, let's focus until that February, March, April period. And then from April to March, let's focus on that. Let's just do what we're doing in it. Let's not watch what other people are doing. Let's just go after top four. If you could be third, which sometimes, man, we're looking at third last season and then we'd always mess it up. If you can get fourth, if you can get higher, which is a movie, why not? If you do what you need to do, then you leave yourself able to take advantage of any wobbles other teams are going. If you was to look at things, for example, now it's all, Chelsea are going to wobble this season. The new owner, they're not getting their targets, this and that. By God's grace, I hope that's the case. Really, I hope everyone apart from Arsenal Football Club is shit in the Premier League. We might win a league title again, really. But you get the point. So yeah, aim for the moon and that. Europa League or top four should be the main aim and focus. Should be winning an FA Cup or Copper this season. I don't think Savic is an ankle breaker, man. I'm just looking at the fact that he's 6 foot plus, bro. He's got mobility issues as well, really, but he's lit. Which of the latest Highland youngsters do you see making an impact in Europa League? Would love another Saka emergence. Can't really see that next year. The bulk of play, half of them should be trying to push the ball out to go along. So I don't know. You'd have to ask someone who knows a bit more than me. Brentford tomorrow, allegedly. Shout out, Rems. Big up the nation. Smash the likes and subscribe. Road to 50k. Do you think selling Ober and Jan Costa top four potentially, or not having, better yet, not having a contingency plan? We struggle to score goals. We love how Eddie Nketiah has been an emergence and things, but we struggle to score goals. I think what harmed us a bit more, and I don't think these players are anything to write home about, but the Chambers, the Ainsley Maitland-Niles, them kind of man that left where, it could have been like El Nene purple patches. Maybe that was it. We left out, especially at fullback. Our Chambers and Ainsley would have got Kalas same way, but could they have done any worse than Cedric and Tavares away from home? I don't think so. So yeah, that's that, man. Keep your opinions coming. Are we at 200 likes? Hey, super chat. Come on, thanks for the donation. Appreciate that, my guy. Big up DG. Marie has to bust out as the caliber of centre-back has improved since he arrived. I think he has to bust out, but realistically, I think he might get to hold on because, again, one thing I don't like about Arsenal, even the players that are rubbish, you never get the vibe that apart from Aubameyang, that we're trying to sell them. It's always like, oh yeah, I don't want to be here no more. That was the language around Marie. Marie wanted to leave in Jan. I think Marie might get a luxury in that we tried to buy Alessandro Martinez. I know all the waffle was about him playing left back, which is true. He can play there, but he's played there 12 times. He's played the majority of his professional career as a centre half. The bulk of the scouting to try and sign him when we was, because we didn't just wake up in the summer and say we're going for Alessandro Martinez. Must have been looking at him for a year or two or whenever, or all through last year. You've seen him playing centre back. He's a left-sided centre back. So he's probably more likely. I'm not saying not to play left back and give us cover there, especially if something happens to Tierney. But he's probably going to play the bulk of his games at centre back or be recognised as that. So there is an angle to bring in a centre back, especially the left-sided, which Arteta is fixated on. So I think Marie, obviously, it's like going pound shop, innit? Pound shop Lissandro Martinez. He might say, you know what, you're left-footed, you're a good guy in the dressing room, you can stay in it, sort of thing. We might outgoings. I don't know what's going on. I would like another centre back if we could address centre mid, right wing. And in an ideal world, I know I like Ben White putting in a shift at right back, but maybe even right back. I would like that. But there is a case because again, let's just assume what we played against Chelsea. We're midway through the season now. Injuries are piling, suspensions, loss of form, all of these things. And you've got Ben White shifted to right back because Tomiyasu's not there. Gabriel and Saliba are partners. Let's just say Gabriel loses form or gets sent off or Saliba gets injured. You're now down to your bare bones even more. Then you're looking at holding. Remember I said you could use Tomiyasu, but in this scenario, Tomiyasu's not fit. Tierney might not even be fit to go with Tomiyasu. So that luxury of a back three is a myth. Xhaka might have to do a shift there, which you don't want. So there's an angle for a couple of centre backs, really. Ben White and his versatility, Gabriel, Saliba, Tomiyasu's ability to play there, Rob Holding hanging around like a bad smell. But I wouldn't lie to you. If there's that angle to bring in the next one, fair play, really. You got to remember, man, there's 38 Premier League games. There's 38 different narratives, and all the leagues and league games and that. There's going to be injuries, loss of form, all of these things. I'm not saying you, Jay, big up you for the super chat. But how many of our fans do this? Oh, don't bring in this guy because we got that. Don't do this because we've got that. They did the one I remember specifically was Smith Rowe and Odegaard. Like you saw last year, there was times Odegaard could have been dropped and Smith Rowe was the one, and vice versa. And both of them needed to be in the team because they're both doing lit stuff. And then one needed to come out the team to bring in a Martinelli and try something different. So, you need different angles and variations and things like that. In my opinion, fair point about Conte versus Mikel for top four if the teams were swapped last year. Yeah, I would still take Mikel Arteta over Conte. I'm not saying any criticizing it. Obviously, Conte's on the short term thing. In terms of being a winner and all them things, I'm having Conte every day of the week over Arteta. In terms of the project and what we're trying to do, cool. That's it. I'm just saying. I think Arteta and the club, we self-inflicted. I just think there was times, as much as injuries and not bringing in things, we showed our inexperience. I think in the Tottenham game, Arteta made too much of it, really. He made it like a cup final, and I think we were overruled. I think he was naive, holding and Cedric in a flat back four against Son. We're not football coaches. In a professional game, that's suicidal. Against Brighton after we just lost against, I believe, Palace or whatever. I do like being able to play Lokonga as a lone six and Odegaard and Smith Rowe rotating eights. I want us to be able to do that in one day. But that's suicidal when you need to pick up 3 points and you're doing that against Graham Potter and you're doing it against the team he's doing. He's on this tactical thing. So we're doing dumb-ish. Nobody is faultless. I know Arsenal fans, according to whatever everyone wants to praise Arteta or blame Arteta, the players, the board, the Kroenkes, but we're in this thing together. Big up you lot, man. Build history and legacy with trophies. Amen. Crazy, man. Come on, Sambi looks good in that 8 row. I hope so, man. Why not? I mean, they bottled bare games, but they got over the finish line, Darren. That's the thing. That's where, going back to my main point, we had to try very hard to not get top 4 football last year. Very hard to limp over that. And then if a movie happened, which didn't happen, if Spurs lost to Norwich and we did our job, you still would have been there. That's the point. The last few years, do you know how hard, even going back to when Emre missed out by a point, where I say for me, a point's not a true reflection, because similar to last year, there were several self-inflicted wounds. Top 4 is the battle of the inconsistent, really. How many times? Again, you have to try very hard not to get Champions League football last year. Very hard. Maybe potentially even Chelsea spot in third. Yeah, them bottling's a myth. We're gonna read that, man. We're at 200 likes again. Promise is a promise. Let's get into some of this transfer news. Big up you lot. Hit the like button if you haven't done any of that already. Are we VAR? All right, 206. We're there. We're there. We're there. Would you take Xavi over Arteta? I mean, if he shows he's lit, why not? But I haven't seen enough from Xavi to know he's 30 yet. Coffee, I hope so. But if I'm Brook Norton Coffee, I wouldn't be hanging around that Arsenal for Europa League. You need to go somewhere like you had half a season at Lincoln where you're going to play. I do think people are incredibly overrating a lot of these young players, especially Brook Norton Coffee. Please do not mistake what I'm saying. The man has the first thing is the mentality. That's what, whether he makes it at Arsenal or whatever, that's what's going to serve him well. He's very hungry. The athleticism. He has got decent technical ability. But if I'm judging it on what you need in the first team, first touch is not good enough. You need to know, and also you need to know what you're doing before the ball gets there. Sometimes I see a bit of freestyling. Sometimes I think his passes are underhit, overhit, puts his teammates under pressure. He moves a bit like Wan-Bissaka. That would be a good, I think he plays quite similar. He's got an engine. He's got all of that. It's just about refining. And he's 18 off the back of 6 months on loan in Lincoln, where so many people were drawing conclusions. They can't tell me one 90-minute game they preed off is good or bad. So let's let the man develop. 2024, he'll be about 19, 20 years of age. Cedric's contract's done there. We'll see what happens there. Just let the man go. If I'm him, I'm not staying for Europa League because are you guaranteed to even start? Or you're going to get your nice little Arsenal debut. They'll put you on Twitter. You're another Haaland boy. That's great. But tomorrow, what's going on? And once the Europa League gets to the serious rounds, it's a myth for you. So I hope Brook and Marcelo Flores and all these guys can bust through. But half of these guys, bro, if you're playing 23s football, you got yourself to blame. All of them should be pushing the ball out to leave on loan. And even with some of these young players, I think the younger players stand to benefit. I think it might be a tough season in terms of experience at 23s level. So it is what it is, man. Yeah, man. Yaya Toure and Defoe's academy coaches must be lit for the academy players. Imagine getting coached by Yaya Toure. And if you're a striker in that academy and Defoe's working with you and you don't become 30, boy, it's all mad. With 5 subs this year, the more depth you have, the better. We have more chance this season to change things up than ever before mid-game. Exactly. And that's where you're going to have to see it. It is what it is in that regards, man. Shout out to you lot across YouTube and Twitch. What else are you lot saying? Last thing before we get into some of these things, I'll circle back on your comments. In bigger matches, I think we need someone solid to play against alongside Partey. Our biggest issue last season was game management. Exactly. Even games we did well, Chelsea and United, it was all booked. It was it was one for the heart rate, but it was booky. We're quite lucky against United. I watched the highlights the other day. Bruno missing pens. Maybe they should have had a second penalty. It was booked. Chelsea were scoring and then conceding. Now, if we go away from the banter and things, but you can't be going to Stamford Bridge, taking the lead and then moving mad. You can't go to Old Trafford, take the lead in the game, mess about, then get back in the game and draw at a time and then lose it. You can't go to Goodison Park, whether you rate Everton or not, place we haven't really done well at in recent years. Sorry, the kids are making better noise. It's summer holidays. They should be in summer school. But yeah, you can't go to these places and mess about. As much as game management, all of you lot are right, but there's times where we struggle to react to setbacks. For me, sometimes you start games poorly, but more often than not, it looked like whenever it's not a football team, when the 12th men are onto us, it's like we don't know what to do, really and truly. So these are things to bear in mind. But let's get into the transfer news, people. Promises are promised. Let me make the timestamps.